Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Breaking news out of LA. Journalist Don Lemon has been arrested for his role in covering, as a journalist, a peaceful protest in St. Paul, Minnesota. Check it out.
In the 8 o'clock hour with this breaking news, journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon is due in a federal courtroom this morning after being arrested here in Los Angeles last night. The Department of Justice says it has revived a case that was rejected by a federal judge last week. It involves the disruption of a church service in Minneapolis by anti-ICE protesters that Lemon was covering as a journalist. KTLA's Omar Lewis, live in downtown LA, with this breaking news. Omar, good morning.
Good morning, Frank. Yeah, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says she directed the arrest of independent journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon and 3 others. Lemon, as you mentioned, was arrested here in Los Angeles last night. Pam Bondi says that this is all in connection to what she calls a coordinated attack at that Minnesota church during the protests. Lemon now denying any wrongdoing, saying he was there in his capacity as a journalist. We are expecting to make his first federal court appearance here at the federal building later today. Want to take you to the video, though, and tell you that federal authorities arrested Lemon in LA last night. His attorney says while he was in town covering a Grammy Week event at the Fairmont Century Plaza. Federal officials say the charges stem from an incident on January 18th in which Lemon and dozens of anti-immigration enforcement protesters, they rushed into a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. The group allegedly interrupting the service there that led to tense confrontations. While it's not immediately clear what exact charges he is now facing, federal prosecutors have argued the disruption crossed the line into interfering with others' rights to worship. Lemon says he was there in his journalistic capacity documenting what was happening. The case is raising questions now about where the rights to protest end and press freedom begins.
Shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will.
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution and the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
The protest unfolding inside the city's church in St. Paul, where an ICE official also serves as a pastor there. Demonstrators chanting ICE out. Lemon and his attorney say he was there as a journalist reporting on the confrontation, speaking with people involved. Attorney General Pam Bondi publicly warning that the administration will not tolerate attacks on places of worship. Federal prosecutors originally sought warrants for 8 people, including Don Lemon, but a magistrate judge signed off on just 3 people, not including Lemon. An appeals court also refused to expand that. Now, prosecutors appear to have taken the case to a grand jury, and they've come back with charges against Don Lemon and a Minnesota-based journalist who was also there covering the protests. Want to read you this statement this morning from Don Lemon's attorneys. It reads in part, this unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. This morning, we can also tell you that LA Mayor Karen Bass is posting about this on social media, saying this is an attack on First Amendment rights here, saying this is also an escalation on the tense situation unfolding in Minnesota. She's now says she's in correspondence with the U.S. Attorney's Office about this case. Again, we are working right now to figure out what time Don Lemon will be making that first court appearance here in federal court today. Of course, we'll pass along those details as soon as we receive them. That is the latest for now here live from the federal building. I'm Omar Lewis. Frank and Jess, we'll send it back to you.
All right, fam. As you might recall, a magistrate judge had refused to sign the arrest warrant for Don Lemon. But Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, decided to arrest anyway. Yeah. This is what she had to say on Twitter. At my direction, early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon, Traham Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamel Liddell Lundy in connection with the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. This is the Attorney General of the United States going against a direct order from a judge. Family, let me explain something to you if you're not here, because some of y'all, this may be going over some of y'all head. But when an attorney general can ignore an arrest warrant, when they can just ignore, when they can circumvent the law and just do whatever they want, nobody's safe. When they're arresting people and forcing them into concentration camps to work for slave labor, to work as slave labor, nobody's safe. When they give ICE the green light to kill arbitrarily, nobody's safe. So while as much as this is not our fight, it kind of is, because y'all know how it go, fam. They coming for us. They always come for us. Always. This is just the beginning. This is the testing grounds. Yeah. This is what Keith Olbermann said. Wow. The wrongful arrest and selective prosecution suits and claims are going to leave you penniless. Scam Blondie, talking about Pam Bondi. And then somebody asks, where are the effing Epstein files, which has been released today, and I am going to be talking about that in a few ticks. But yeah, fam, here's one of the more interesting post that I seen on social media. So you're arresting journalists now. What happened to all these people? Looks familiar, fam? Those are the people who were pardoned after they beat up police officers and killed at least one. I think that they're underreporting the amount of police officers that were killed during the January 6th insurrection, because initially I heard the number was 4 police officers. But not only did these people try to overturn the government, they tried to overturn the government. They injured, they maimed, they brutalized, they killed. And they were pardoned by Donald Trump, your president. Yeah, they were actually pardoned. So you mean to tell me that a journalist covering a story, a news story, is more dangerous? It's outlaw behavior that trumps these Trump supporters, these January 6 rioters. That's what you're trying to tell me. Sounds like selective outrage and selective prosecution to me. Sounds like selective persecution to me. Something ain't adding up, fam. Something is fishy around here. Something is fishy. Here's what NBC had to say. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon was arrested by federal authorities on Thursday night in connection with a protest at a Minnesota church service earlier this month. Lemon, 59, and 3 others Traherne Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamel Lydell Lundy were arrested in connection with the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota, Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a post on X on Friday. Now, fam, a coordinated attack. It was a peaceful protest. They went inside the church and screamed. If this if this protest thing that they did was so bad, which if I was a member of the church, I wouldn't like nobody coming in interrupting my service, right? If I'm the pastor, yeah, I don't like that either. I'm pissed. But, you know, how about a little, I don't know, equality? I guess that's why they got rid of it. I guess that's why they don't like DEI. Because I remember distinctively a white dude and his wife rushing Jamal Bryant's church, walking up inside of his church, all the way through the church, and condemning them to hell, telling them that the wrath of God would be upon them. Called his wife a whore and everything. And nobody's hunting for this guy. Nobody's hunting him down. Nobody's trying to arrest him. This is selective outrage. This is selective persecution, selective prosecution. The ex-CNN anchor's attorney, Abe Lowell, said in a statement that Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources to this arrest. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand, and it won't. It will not stand. But the fact that they're putting Don Lemon through this is very telling. This is a humiliation ritual. This is, we really don't have a legal ground to stand on, but we're going to make this arrest, and after the heat come down on us, maybe we'll apologize, maybe we won't, but at the very least, we'll go ahead on and let them go because, hey, we've proven our point. We can do what we want to do. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Ooh, can't wait to see what that lawsuit gonna look like. Don about to get mine. It is.